Hi, welcome. My name is Nadi Hana. I'm here with the crop circles today, but I'm so happy to be coming to you live with the Humankind Project. It's such a cool thing that John is doing. So I have this beautiful opportunity today to talk about a lot of different things. I'll briefly talk about, and I hope they're interesting for you because they're interesting to me. Some of the subjects are about metaphysics and existential musings because it's important to have deep contemplations about life, I think. So that's what I sit around and do here in Sedona, Arizona. I feel really blessed to have some time to think about what's going on in the world and to reflect about how to be here, how to be on this planet, how to be trying to tap into, the most of who I am, and then talking to other people about tapping into the most of who they are. Because we are so much more than we've been told, and I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir if you're watching this. But, glad to be able to reach out and connect with you because we got to be with like-minded people. We got to find our people and be able to talk about these kind of things because I find it pretty challenging to be here lately. And I'm going to talk a little bit about, my tools and techniques of how I'm navigating some pretty challenging territory. Came in for the tour of duty, part of the ground crew here on the planet, and doing some good work, but also need some reinforcements with each other, with good self-care, and so I'll talk a little bit about those things. And then also I'm going to have crop circles going on in my background because they are one of the things that are helpful to me. I would say mostly because they help me remember my star origins and connect to our off-planet families. And that's just getting right to it. That is one of the biggest tools that I have is connecting with higher intelligence and remembering my galactic family. So the circles, I'm going to talk a little bit about those. I'll tell you why I'm passionate about them. But I'll tell you a little bit about myself first, and then I'll get into why they are scrolling on the screen behind me because I like to have them around all the time. And I'll probably see one that I kind of flip out about and then want to go into the story about it. I'm skipping ahead so much, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where I go, which is right on. I'm so excited about that. So I went to England this last summer, and that's a result of having 13-year-long romance with the formations. And that'll be a good segue. 13 years ago, I had left the mental health profession, right? I spent about a decade working as a psychotherapist on an inpatient psychiatric unit. And so I saw a lot of things, and it was an incredible time in my life because I was able to be with people in transition, people deciding whether or not they wanted to be here, people wanting to leave. I would say suicidal, not suicidal, psychotic, right? Oh, I don't even like using the Western diagnostic words of psychotic or schizophrenic, right? We have diagnosis, but we also don't have much of an understanding of non-consensus reality experiences. So I think that there's a lot more going on in our altered states, and so working in mental health it wasn't sustainable, right? It's about 10 years, and I just felt like I had completed my time there. And I had done a lot of work on myself. I had been a practicing yogi and very disciplined meditation, I would say disciple of a practice, but, really dedicated inner work. And I spent that whole time in my life kind of getting free of the deficits, kind of climbing out of the wounding and the programming, and then hopefully, I think I got a little free of that. So left that world and kind of took a leap of faith, took a leap of trust and just knowing I needed more integration. I needed more wholeness and more alignment in my life. I was doing well, but I was really compartmentalized, and I knew that there was so much more to me than what I knew up until that point. Look at that one, isn't that beautiful? Lovely eightfold geometry sitting in the center there, all the people. I got to sit in one and be in the center of one, and I'll talk a little bit about that because it was awesome. I love to draw them. I love to draw them with people, and I love them because they are activating, right? It's not just like, oh, the crop circles are cool. Obviously, there's a lot of cool information about them, but they're activating, right? I took a leap of faith because I knew there was more. I knew it needed to get turned on, and as soon as I leapt, there's so much to say about that one. As soon as I leapt, I found sacred geometry, and I found unified physics, and ultimately that took me to the crop circles, right? Because sacred geometry, universal language of math, unified physics, working with unity consciousness, and looking at the geometric patterns of everything in the universe, you can't help but be drawn to the crop circles and their geometric formations, right? So yeah, leap of faith, sacred geometry, unified physics, crop circles, light language, started to do all of the things that we know we can do because I was hanging out with the different tools, the different modalities of activation, right? And we've all got them. We've all got so many practices and modalities and support systems in place. And we need them right now. We need a lot of support systems. So these are my passions, the geometry, the crop circles, whales and dolphins. I have a whole toolkit of support that I call on to be surviving this place, honestly. And I'll talk about those. But I know that we've all got our own toolkit. So when I'm talking about mine, it's just an invitation to remember that yours are available to you. And we just need reminders, right? We know what's good for us. We know how to get to wholeness. But we need assistance because this world is, I think, really fragmenting and not supportive of wholeness and practices that help us ground and be present. I'm kind of moving all over the place, like I'm skipping around, and the words kind of matter, but also kind of don't. Like my energy, the crop circle energy, the transmission is so much more than the words, right? So if you're watching this, tune in on the other levels, right? Because there are activations that are happening just with the person to screen, person to person, like talking to each other through time and space. That can be what's really important of all this, right? Like I'll talk about crop circles, I'll talk about my tools and my tricks and how I'm navigating things, but really you watching this, just knowing that there's another person working on being a person and being humankind, right? Just the energy's the validation. So the information's cool. Oh man, that's one of my favorites. That's the sigil to my starship, pretty sure. I'm trying to pace myself. There's so much to talk about. I haven't even finished my story. So, right, got to get to the multidimensionality. That one is part of it. Started to get into the crop circles. Had activation after activation where I just got like really compelled and kind of obsessed about them and would draw them. And I brought some of my drawings today just in case you want to see them. And the drawing was its own trigger for, we could say, my higher dimensional DNA, all of my multi-dimensional capacities starting to come online. I met an individual that really shared some information that I was able to step into because I was allowing for the activations to happen. And with that encounter, I started understanding myself as a multi-dimensional being, understanding simultaneity, and that there are aspects of me on other planets, on other star systems, other galaxies, starships, there's all these different aspects of ourselves. We're just one representative. We're just one aspect, one manifestation of that oversoul. And so that's obviously my belief system, but it's also my personal experience, right? I started to be able to travel to the most beautiful places, that are alive and energetic and connected and so beautiful. Being able to like telepathically communicate with an entire city that recognizes your frequency when you step out of the quantum field into visiting part of your home planet and your home familiar places. And so learning about myself and my ability to visit all of these different parts of me was simultaneously exciting and simultaneously depressing, because I'm here and this place isn't those places. And for those of you who know where you're from elsewhere and who visit or feel a deep connection, a telepathic connection, a heart connection to your star family, to your off-planet community, it can actually make it harder to be here. Like, it's this beautiful reminder, right? Those of us who can astral travel, or who are able to, have contact experiences where they go up to ships or they go and visit with their family. It's such a mixed bag, because there's a homecoming, and then there's, a leaving home again and again. And this is its own home. So there's this strange dissonance when you know that you're not from here and you're here and you're navigating a spacesuit, you're navigating a program and a matrix that can look horrific at times. And so all of this paradox of this incarnation, I started to contemplate that. And when you tap into the larger reflections on source consciousness, on our existential place in the universe, I believe there's a simultaneous joy and remembering of the larger picture, and then a sadness, right? And this is just my experience. I'm definitely going to I have to acknowledge that it's been really challenging lately. Looking at the crop circles, working with the geometry helps in like a soothing, comforting, like managing the homesickness kind of way. And so that's why I love talking about them. It's like, oh, stare at some geometry, stare at some crop circles, and it's going to activate that more the kind places, the gentle places that balance out being on this planet right now. Because it doesn't feel easy, it doesn't feel lighthearted. It feels so dense. And for those of us sensitives who walk around feeling completely bombarded by the frequencies here and the cruelties, I'll just speak honestly, like, it's hard to see the suffering here and maintain connection to divinity, connection to the higher frequencies. And so that's part of why I was excited to come and talk about the things that help me be here, namely crop circles and geometry and our star family, whales and dolphins, using light language in order to talk with our star family and hear them and transmit some codes. So I know I'm not alone in having a hard time. I go out in the, tea shops and go to different gatherings here, and maybe it validates your reality to hear that we're all just in it. Like, it's just feels dense and thick lately. There's retrogrades. I mean, I know there's all sorts of astrological significance happening. But that's one of the things I wanted to say today is you're not alone. Whatever you're experiencing, right? You could be in like the joy and bliss state, right? We're living in this duality, so at any moment you could be fluctuating between both of them. I certainly have some moments of elation and sweetness here and there, but mostly I'm breathing and doing an intense amount of work to climb out of a density every day. And that work looks like gratitude. It's kind of my biggest practice. And so, there's always so much that I can find to be grateful for. And just that practice of pivoting the density, helps me to then find those sweet bliss spots and people who dance and looking around at the natural beauty. So I'm skipping around all over the place because the words don't really matter. It's just a heart transmission. And I'm hoping to communicate that on some level, I want to say, we are all in this together, even though we can feel really alone at sometimes. And the crop circles are going on in the background. They're just supporting everything I'm saying. They're just positively transmitting non-local technology from advanced civilizations, because we're super not alone. Like, we're not alone with each other, but then we're really not alone. Like, we are part of a larger family, and there's so much benevolent support here for us. And the more we remember that, I think the easier, it's a strong word, the more gentle it can be. The harshness can soften a little bit when we remember how much is here for us. And man, that is a daily practice, right? That is a choice point to decide that there is so much here for us. And the crop circles and the geometry help me they remind me of that, and they help me remember. Wow, they help me remember that. That means I gotta slow down. There was something else I wanted to say a second ago when I was at the "We Are Not Alone" piece, and that is that I have a passion place and a message that I really like to communicate every single time I'm presenting or speaking about anything. And it's based in my years of working in mental health and then my own experiences, where anything that is, like I was saying, non-consensus reality has been called crazy in this world, right? Contact experiences, ecstatic states of meditation, anything outside of the range of what we consider to be normal. We've been told we're crazy if we have any kind of outlying experience, and we've internalized that. So even when we do have amazing experiences, we think we're crazy or that we're losing our minds, and really we're just stepping outside of the limitations of this dimensional reality, thankfully. And so I have an invitation, because our words are so powerful, right? The invitation is to look at the languaging around extraordinary experiences, and to actually begin to call them extraordinary instead of crazy, right? To start to feel like we're extraordinary rather than crazy. Try it out. It's really a profound uplift, right? We are having extraordinary experiences. We are extraordinary humans. We're fucking brilliant, right? Geniuses. And it's a matter of like taking ourselves out of that judgmental, horrible energy of, putting ourselves down and shaming for being really advanced, actually. So I really like to beat that drum of practice. I like to invite the contemplation that you're not crazy, you're really extraordinary, and that you can swap out the word extraordinary anytime you want to use crazy, right? Like, oh my God, I had the most crazy experience the other day. Now you had an extraordinary experience, and it usually works. Anything you want to call crazy is actually possibly most of the time extraordinary. Paranormal stuff, that like deja vus, the synchronicities, the intuitive hits, the things where we're calling on our telepathic powers, our telekinesis, our clairvoyance, our clairsentience, right? Those things have been called crazy. They're super not crazy. They're fabulous. And like, I just say you're fabulous. Like, there's always something fabulous and fantastic. You just got to believe it. I'm choosing to believe that there's always something fantastic and fabulous. Like, I can't claim that as a fact. I'm just choosing to believe it. I'm choosing to believe that I'm extraordinary. I'm choosing to believe that there are fantastic things available to all the time, that there is so much to be grateful for. And I'm choosing to remember our galactic family, which is part of why I choose to look at crop circles. And I'm bringing that up because I go back and forth between choosing high vibrational realities and choosing low vibrational realities. I got old programming that is painful, that is rooted in pain and shame, and I have to dig out of it all the time. So I wanted to sort of come together and just say, if you're having that too, you're doing awesome. We're doing awesome. Like, why not say that? Why not say we're awesome and extraordinary and geniuses? Because it feels better. It feels way better than the other stories. And I'll just finish up, and then I'll talk about some crop circles for another minute. But I work with Abraham sometimes. Abraham Bashar, all of the teachers, all the tools. But one of my favorite things that Abraham said, it's like I come back to it when I'm drowning a little bit in the negative stuff, is thoughts are just energy, right? Thoughts are not true, and thoughts are not false. They're just energy. And so what do you want to feel, right? Like, if we are these beings of light, these divine beings, then all of the beliefs that take us away from feeling divine are false. That's how I determine falsity, is disharmony, constructs that are designed to make us feel bad. So I'm kind of always doing this sorting process of like, well, how does that belief make me feel? Feels like shit? All right. What's the opposite belief? What can I find? You know, and so just, man, one foot in front of the other. One foot in front of the other. And that's my thing. I don't know. I hope some of it made sense. So I'm a very non-linear thinker. I'm a very multi-dimensional thinker trapped in a third-dimensional reality that's very linear and limited sometimes. Sometimes you find people like John in the Humankind Project that resonate, that relate, and where it feels good to talk and connect. So usually sacred geometry and crop circles connect me with those people. So if you're watching this, find me in other ways. You know, I have websites. It's somewhere. There it is. Got my website. Reach out, because being together in these times helps a lot. All right, so we just drew that one. Perfect timing. Check this out. Oh no, John, my bag is right there. Shit. I want to show you that I drew that one. It's just the yellow, the binder there. So thank you, because I appreciate that. I brought my drawings so that y'all could see, because one of my favorite things to do, is that going to work if I'm holding it up?
Yep.
Yeah, it's going to work, is draw them, right? Because they are a tool for activation, right? I could talk about the details. I could tell you that, you know, the phenomenon's been going on for decades, long time. And I could tell you that most of them happen in the southern fields of England, in the Wiltshire County and the area of the world where the ley lines are concentrated in their intersections. Very, very charged area, you know, place on the planet, and also the geology is significant. There are so many cool and fascinating areas of study with crop circles, and I could go into so many of them, but I'm going to stay with the really fun, extraordinary stuff. That one is the interpretation from the circle makers of a satellite broadcast, right? Which is part of how they communicate versus our radio broadcasts, right? They have been decoded both in literal ways and also in esoteric, multi-dimensional ways. Like, for example, there's a lot of channels and they see different aspects of the formations. Maybe we'll have one here that will give us an example in a minute. They receive information from the circle makers, and they know that certain formations are encoded with frequencies to help activate our DNA, frequencies to help clean and clear the waters and the planet and restore and terraform some of what, you know, repair the damage that we've made. There are crop circles that are encoded with frequencies to help the star kids come in a gentler transition, right? Because it's a really abrupt, abrasive entry, when you're coming from the other realms. And they are encoded with all sorts of things that can help us and our physiology and our psychology and our spirit, right? There's a lot of anecdotal stories about people going into crop circles, and that the advanced technologies in the genuine ones are able to spontaneously heal terminal illnesses or chronic diseases, right? Because when I say advanced technology, what I mean is that these are intelligences that can interface with us at levels that we barely even know how to understand, like levels of our holographic DNA that interface with photonic light and sound frequencies. They have those in them. And so you can walk into various crop circles and you could experience the sonic codes, like the imperceptible frequencies, right? Our systems respond to these sonic frequencies. They are left in the formations. We don't really recognize it because they're inaudible, but they are essentially like a theta realm, like aligning the hemispheres of our brains. So we walk in and we have some sort of altered state of consciousness because the hemisphere, we're having this like hemisync, and then we're more open to different experiences that are non-local, that are beyond space and time, beyond what we understand and know as these silly little humans on this planet. So their technology, they're advanced because they have been where we are, and so they already know about our the composite of everything that we are, and they have the ability to work with us so gently. It is such an innocent and benign intervention to make some geometries in a field. Right there, it's like this invitation, like, here, come look at these beautiful things. If you think there's more to them, great. If you think there's not anything to them, great. There's no right or wrong way to experience them. There's definitely some evidence to support the fact that there are advanced technologies being used, like, wonderful research teams have diligently documented a lot of empirical data to support and try to validate that so much more is going on. Like they'll study the crop, right, the seeds in a field, and they'll study the germination rate or the propagation rate or the nutrient density, and they'll find like literal changes in the fields, in the crops, that support that they're not man-made, right? They're not ropes and boards just stomping down the field. And I think you can always tell the significance and the truth of a phenomenon by how strong the disinformation campaign about it is, right? It's so important that we don't understand or connect with our galactic heritage that you've had decades of cover-up. And so thankfully, things are starting to come to light, but the crop circles they're so gentle, right? It's not this massive contact experience where we're like floored and spend decades trying to integrate the break in the psyche. They're a little invitation, and you can think however much or however little you want about them. And so I think a lot about them, and my life has been completely transformed because of them. The formations, the geometries, it really is part of me understanding the multidimensionality of my consciousness. And, in and of themselves, they're fascinating, but you can take them to the next level of remembering and becoming what we came here to do, right? Like stepping into that true service that was the only reason for coming here. I mean, a lot of people have fun. I think I'm one of the more serious bunnies. I'm not sure I came here to have fun. I think I'm one of the more existentially oriented, like, gotta sit in the why, and that's not always fun. So I like to come on and validate and talk to people about, like, hey, if you're not having so much fun, Let's talk about it, because I know how to not have fun. That sounds terrible. Crop circles are fun. Drawing crop circles are fun. This is, oh dang, that looks good on that screen. This one won't show up because I don't have this one incorporated into the montage. But I got to sit in this one this year, and that was fun. I will say that the ecstatic bliss states that come from connecting with my off-planet team, my off-planet family, all right, kind of came for that, kind of came for the good stuff. A friend of mine, we like to talk about this a lot, and she says she wouldn't have come for a bad show. And I kind of agree with that. And then we go on to talk about solar flares and, how things are really going to be okay after that. But those are fun and fascinating and different conversations. And so I just happen to have these in front of me. I'll show you a version of the one that we drew. No, this is one. I'm not sure if this one's come up, but this is one of my favorites. You might see this one, but I'm showing these not because of the like, ooh, cool, here's what this is in and of itself. It's more like I'm so dedicated to try and turning my system on that I'll sit there and draw shapes and formations that are for some reason appealing. Oh, is it coming on again? Look at that. I will say that there was a total interface and that I just called that one in because we already saw that one, right? We already saw that one, but I drew it last night. So that's another thing that can be called an astonishing synchronicity, right? That, because we already saw that one, unless this is looping and I just don't know. It's probably that. But it's, the crop circles create ripples in space-time. And that ends up giving us what are called not just synchronicities, but astonishing synchronicities. And then I was just looking at one of the wormholes, which is what this is. I'm really all over the place, and part of me is aware of that. But the synchronicity piece, I don't want to be boring and do this, but I do want to match up with the wormholes, right? These are so fun to draw. And those are nest-in crescents and also wormholes. And that was one of the early ways that they started showing us dimensionality. I left off a trail somewhere a minute ago because I got so excited about the cube. Astonishing synchronicities and deja vus and the warbles and the ripples of space and time and the construct of time being totally blown out of the water. These are all little indications. I know we all know this, right? These are little indications that we are, the dimensions are becoming more malleable and that we're actually moving from a third dimensional reality into higher dimensional realities. So it's all getting a little wonky. And I think the geometry and the crop circles and the light language, I don't mean to be skipping over light language as if to just assume people know what it is. I have left like 10 different threads unattended to, and I'm just trying to track all of them. I'll get back to all of them. There was a really important one a second ago, and then I got thrown off by the light language and the synchronicity of seeing the crop circles. So let me take a breath, and we'll find it, because it's all kind of looping around, and we're just following threads. So, light language. That's the one that's right here. I'm just going to go with it. And bless your heart if you're following me. If you're tracking what I'm saying. Because maybe you even talk like this and think like this too. There's so many of us. Sometimes we're called autistic. Sometimes we're called really sensitive. And sometimes we're called extraordinary and brilliant. And so I'm going to hang out on that end of things. So light language is a transmission of light and sound, a lot of times channeled information coming from higher dimensional realms, different advanced civilizations. And when we start to open our psychic abilities by working with the tools and modalities that are designed to do that, we can start to receive more and more information that is bringing our systems online, that then brings more of our systems and our capacities to the forefront to be of service. That was the one I wanted to come back to. Like, the reason I talk about all this is to remember remember that there is a point, right? There is a point to being here. There is a service to humanity, to the planet. I know I answered the call of the planet, but it's not purposeless, right? Here I am. This is my belief. This is what keeps me going. We showed up not just for a good show, but for very high purposes of transition and transformation and humanity's evolution. Like, we're part of a really important team. We're part of a ground crew, and we've got so much support. That's another one of the threads. Like, it's so important that we're here. It's so important that we're here. And I think that's the thing that keeps me going. It's just, I don't want to think that that's just ego satisfaction. I truly believe on a vibrational level that the light that we carry is part of the transformation. And I am preaching to the choir. I am speaking to my family. I am here sitting in a chair trying to remember myself, but also connect and support those of us on this journey, in this density, this fucking place. I'm here talking about the things that help me have hope, the things that help me keep going when I look around at the programs being laid out and the suffering. I look to the people and the messages and the songs that are being sung. I would say the songs of freedom, but the songs being the frequencies of, liberation, right? I think I'm not going to go down a lot of dark rabbit holes about human existence and how we've been influenced, but it can be heavy to carry a lot of information, and there's a lot of information out there right now, so you got to really be careful about how far you go down the rabbit holes. You got to stay in the light. Light code, darn it, light code. Like, stay with this stuff. This is what can help us, is what helps me stay high vibrational in my frequency. And that's what I got to do. That's when I'm of service. And so talk about it, talk with you all, and helps me stay in a love place, right? In a heart-centered place. And then we can anchor that. We can just walk around more and more. We don't even have to do anything, right? We're just live in our true nature, and then we all start to feel that. And then it's 100th monkey and quantum field influence, and then it's really happening. And so I've talked myself into believing that the good stuff is happening, because I think you have to look for it. I think you have to look hard for it. So maybe I'm making it not so hard to find. And I think the crop circles make it not so hard to find. And where's Metatron? It's right behind me. So I think that's kind of it's kind of what I came here to say today. Although there's probably 1,000 more things. And yeah, I think that's it. I'll just also say thank you for being here. Thanks for coming. It's a big job, and you're totally extraordinary and amazing for being here. So, go team.